The question wasn't on the form. It wasn't even supposed to be in the room. Yet there she was, 46, the CEO, calm as a judge, leaning forward and asking me like it mattered more than my resume, "Do you have a girlfriend?" For half a second I forgot my name. I heard the air conditioner, the distant phones, my own pulse, and I knew whatever I said next could cost me the job or change my life. My name is Mark. I'm 48, divorced, and I didn't walk into that interview looking for romance. I walked in looking for oxygen. If you've ever felt the ground give way under your feet, bills, pride, time, you'll understand why one question from one woman turned my world sideways. 2 months earlier, I'd been restructured. That's the word they used when my badge stopped working and a young HR rep slid a folder across the table with my severance inside. I drove home gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles went white, thinking, what do I tell my son? Ethan is 22. Smart, stubborn, and lately drifting. A couple missed classes, a couple wrong friends, and suddenly I was helping him more than he'd admit he needed. Add rent and alimony, and here's the truth. I needed a steady job, not a miracle. So when Greystone Logistics emailed me, Senior Compliance Coordinator, I reread it 3 times. Boring title. Beautiful paycheck. A chance to breathe. That morning I put on my best navy suit. The one that still fit if I didn't inhale too deeply. In the elevator a guy half my age said, "Big day." I forced a smile and lied, "Just another Tuesday," while my stomach tried to climb into my throat. Greystone's lobby smelled like polished stone and citrus. The receptionist handed me a badge with visitor stamped in red, and that red felt like a warning. While I waited, I watched employees move fast and confident, and I tried to imagine myself among them, normal again. Then a woman stepped through a glass door and called my name. She wasn't cold, not flashy, just composed, hair pulled back, simple blouse, eyes that didn't skim past you. When she shook my hand, her grip was firm, but her palm was warm. "Mark, I'm Claire," she said. No last name. She didn't need one. Her office had floor-to-ceiling windows and a city view like a postcard, but the room felt controlled. On the desk, a neat stack of folders, a silver pen, and a framed photo turned slightly away, like she didn't want it judging her. We started with the usual questions: experience, gaps, pressure. I gave clean answers. I didn't joke. I didn't flirt. I didn't give anyone a reason to doubt me. She listened, nodded, took a few notes. Every now and then she paused like she was weighing my words for more than accuracy. Then she asked about my divorce. It wasn't aggressive, more like careful. "How long ago?" she said. 5 years, I answered. She studied me a beat too long and asked, "And you're okay with that chapter being closed?" I swallowed. "I'm okay," I said. "Not because it didn't hurt, because I learned what I needed to learn. That should have been the moment that settled things. It wasn't." She set her pen down, deliberate, quiet. She leaned forward, and her gaze stopped being professional and turned personal, almost private. "Mark," she said softly, "this might sound out of place." My stomach dropped. Out of place usually means trouble. And then she asked it, "Do you have a girlfriend?" In that instant, 3 thoughts collided. If I answer wrong, I don't get hired. If I answer right, I still might not get hired. And the one that scared me most, why do I suddenly care what she thinks? I tried to read her face. No smile, no smirk, just calm patience. Like she'd already decided something and was waiting to see if I could handle the truth. Could have lied. Said yes, made it safe. Could have laughed it off, redirected. But something about the room, the hush, the window light, the way she said my name, made me choose honesty. "No," I said. "Not anymore." Her eyes flickered. Relief? Disappointment? Couldn't tell. She nodded once, like she'd checked a box that didn't exist. Then she said, "Thank you," and returned to business schedule expectations. Like she hadn't just stepped over a line and left me standing on the other side. When I walked out of Greystone, the city looked the same, but my chest didn't. I kept replaying her question like a warning you can't turn off. And the scariest part wasn't that she asked it. The scariest part was that she asked it for a reason. and I could feel that reason reaching for me. In the hallway, as I passed the glass conference room, I caught a man in a gray suit watching me. Older than the staff, colder than the air. He didn't look curious. He looked protective, like I was a threat he'd been waiting for. Claire's office door clicked behind me, and for the first time I wondered if her question wasn't about my heart at all. Maybe it was about her safety. That night, an email arrived. Interview tomorrow, 7 p.m. At 6:58 p.m., the office was dark except for the CEO's floor, and my phone buzzed like it was warning me to turn back. Interview tomorrow, 7 p.m. No subject line, no HR signature, just the time like a summons. And the worst part? I went. I'm Mark, 48, divorced. If you've ever needed a job so badly you'd swallow your pride, stay with me. My first week at Greystone taught me this. A company can look polished and still be a trap, and sometimes the trap has a woman's quiet voice. The next evening I arrived early, tie knotted too tight. The lobby was closed to the public. The security guard checked my name twice, then handed me a temporary badge and said, "Elevator only goes to her floor," like the rest of the world had gone home and left me alone with my choices. No assistant, no receptionist, just silence and that clean citrus smell. When the elevator doors opened, a man in a gray suit waited by the glass wall, hands folded behind his back. Same man I'd seen the day before. His smile didn't reach his eyes. "You're Mark," he said. "I'm Daniel Reese, Chief Operating Officer. Ku, the second most powerful person in the building." "Nice to meet you, sir." He glanced at my badge. Temporary. Wise. Then he looked toward Claire's door. "She moves fast. People get ideas. Don't." I kept my face neutral. "I'm here for the job." Daniel's eyes held mine. "Good. Keep it that way." Claire's door opened. She stepped out in a simple blazer, hair pinned back, calm in a way that made me feel loud for breathing. Her gaze flicked to Daniel, then to me. "Mark," she said. "Thank you for coming." Daniel's tone softened, but not his meaning. "Just welcoming our candidate." Claire didn't smile. "We're fine, Daniel." He nodded and walked away, shoes quiet on carpet. Only then did I realize my shoulders were up around my ears. Inside her office, the city lights behind her looked cold and far away. She didn't waste time. "I'm offering you the role," she said. My chest loosened so fast it almost hurt. "Thank you. But," she added, and the word tightened everything again, "there are conditions." Here it was. The price. I leaned forward. "Name them." "You report to compliance, not to Daniel. You don't discuss our conversations. And you don't," she paused, choosing language, "invite interpretations." My mouth went dry. Interpretations of what? Her eyes met mine, and for a second the CEO mask slipped. Not into romance, into fear. "Of me," she said quietly. "Of you. Of anything." So the question from the interview wasn't a flirtation. It was a warning, maybe a test. I nodded because I needed this job. "Understood." Claire exhaled once. "Good. You start Monday." Monday arrived like relief and threat at the same time. I learned policies, systems, spreadsheets. I did everything right. Still, eyes followed me. Glances in hallways, whispers that stopped when I turned. My phone kept lighting up. Ethan asking if I could help with rent. My landlord reminding me about late fees. My ex texting about responsibility. I told myself, hold on. Just hold on. Claire stayed distant in public, precise in meetings. But twice that week she found reasons to call me after hours, just after 5, when the floor emptied. The first time she handed me a folder. "Review this. Tell me what you see." Missing signatures. Altered dates. Small gaps that looked harmless until you knew how companies bleed. "This is exposure," I said. Her eyes sharpened. "Whose?" I hesitated. "Daniel's department." A shadow crossed her face. "He'll bury it if he knows you noticed." So that was the real trap. Not romance. War. On Thursday, he finally cornered me at the coffee machine. "How's your first week, Mark?" he asked, friendly as a neighbor. Then his eyes slid to my ring finger, Bear. Settling in? I kept my voice even. Learning the procedures. He smiled. Procedures can be flexible. Claire prefers loyalty. Just remember who keeps this place running. He tapped my badge with one finger. Light, almost polite, and walked off. My stomach stayed tight for an hour. After that, every time my phone buzzed, I wondered if it was my son, or Daniel deciding my life was inconvenient. Tonight, the second time, Claire walked me to the elevator and kept her voice low. If Daniel asks you anything personal, she said, you answer with one sentence. About work. Always about work. I tried to joke. Like I'm allergic to small talk. She didn't laugh. She looked at me like I was the only person in the building who might understand. Mark, she said softer. He doesn't lose gracefully. The elevator arrived. The doors opened. The hallway felt like a tunnel with no exits. As I stepped inside, I caught a faint tremor in her hand. Barely there, but real. Powerful woman, afraid. That should have made me back away. Instead, it made me want to stand closer. The doors closed, and my badge felt heavier than metal. It felt like a promise I didn't know how to keep. I knew something was wrong the moment Claire didn't answer my call. She always answered short, controlled, professional. But that night my phone rang until it stopped, and a minute later a single text appeared. Don't come back upstairs. Leave now. No explanation. Just those 4 words that made my stomach drop. I'm Mark, 48, divorced, and I've learned this the hard way. When a powerful woman tells you to leave, it's not because she's being dramatic. It's because someone is watching. If you've ever been one step away from losing everything, job, dignity, the thin thread holding your life together, you'll understand why I did the one thing I shouldn't have. I went upstairs anyway. It started with a routine compliance audit that wasn't routine at all. A vendor contract with dates that didn't line up. Payment that went out twice. Small numbers, big pattern. Claire had asked me to look quietly. No emails, no comments in the system. Just tell me what you see. That's how you hunt a leak in a building full of people who smile while they sharpen knives. I stayed late, alone on my floor, scrolling through records until the screen blurred. When I finally found the thread, 3 approvals routed through Daniel Reese's office, I felt a cold pride. Proof. I could save the company. I could protect Claire. And maybe, if I'm honest, I could finally feel useful again. At 8:40 p.m., I sent Claire a simple text. It points to Daniel's department. I have details. 3 minutes later, don't come back upstairs. Leave now. That should have been enough. But my son had called earlier, voice tight, asking for help he pretended not to need. My ex had texted about money. My landlord had warned me one more late payment and the locks changed. I couldn't lose this job. I couldn't lose my last good chance. So I took the elevator up, heart hammering, and told myself I was being responsible. When the doors opened, the floor was too quiet. Claire's office lights were on, but the glass hallway looked empty until I saw Daniel. He stood near the conference room, hands in his pockets, like he'd been waiting for the building to breathe. Mark, he said pleasantly. Working late. That's admirable. My throat tightened. I'm heading out. Are you? He stepped closer, not fast, not aggressive, just inevitable. Claire asked you to look at something, didn't she? I kept my face blank. I follow procedures. Daniel smiled like he'd heard a child recite a rule. Procedures are for people who don't understand power. He glanced at my phone in my hand. What did you find? My pulse filled my ears. The smart move was silence. The desperate move was honesty. I chose the desperate one. I found irregular approvals, I said carefully. I'm sure there's an explanation. Daniel's eyes didn't blink. There is. He leaned in slightly, voice low. You. My skin went cold. Excuse me? You're the explanation, he said. A new hire snooping around executive routes. A man with financial pressure. A man who can be framed as reckless. He let that land, then added, almost kindly, do you know how many careers end because someone wanted to feel heroic? Before I could answer, Claire's door opened. She looked straight at Daniel, then at me, and for the first time I saw anger in her. Not loud, not messy, but sharp. "Mark, I told you to leave," she said. Daniel lifted his hands as if he was innocent. "We're just talking." Claire stepped between us. "Daniel, go home." He tilted his head. "You're protective," he said. "People will notice." Claire's jaw tightened. "If anyone notices, it will be because you wanted them to." Daniel's smile faded. "Be careful, Claire," he said. "The board loves a clean story, and scandals write themselves." Then he walked away, slow and satisfied, like he'd already won the first round. The moment he disappeared into the elevator, Claire exhaled like she'd been holding her breath all day. She didn't look at me right away. When she finally did, her eyes were bright. Not with tears, with restraint. "You don't understand him," she said quietly. "I understand enough," I replied, and my voice cracked with something I hadn't planned to show. "He's going to use me. He's going to use both of us," she said. The word "us" hit me harder than it should have. I tried to steady myself. "Why did you ask me that question in the interview?" I asked. The girlfriend question. Claire's expression tightened, like I'd touched a bruise. She walked to her desk and picked up the silver pen, then set it down again, restless. "Because I needed to know if you'd lie," she said. "And because—" She stopped. Outside, the city lights flickered against the glass. "Because I've made that mistake before," she finished, almost a whisper. I didn't move. "With someone you hired?" I asked. She nodded once. "Years ago, I thought I could keep it private. I thought I could manage it." Her voice stayed steady, but her hands didn't. "It almost destroyed everything I built." The room felt smaller. My instinct screamed, "Back away. Keep this job. Save your life." But another part of me, the part that had been numb since my divorce, leaned forward. "Then why bring me up here at night?" I asked. "Why keep calling me after hours?" Claire looked at me, and for 1 second she wasn't the CEO. She was a woman who'd been lonely for too long and terrified to admit it. "Because you're not trying to take anything from me," she said. "You're trying to stand on your own feet." And I recognized that. The silence between us had weight. I should have said something smart, something safe. Instead, I said the truth. "I'm scared," I admitted. "Not of him, of losing this, of losing the only place I've felt useful in years." Claire's gaze softened. She took a step closer, not touching, just nearer. "Mark," she said, "if you stay near me, he will come for you." "And if I step away?" I asked. Claire's mouth tightened. "He'll come for you anyway," she said. That was the moment I realized there was no safe option. Only choices. I turned toward the window, then back to her, and I did something I hadn't done in a long time. I let myself be honest without asking for permission. "Then tell me what you need," I said. Claire looked at me like she was deciding whether to trust her own heart. "I need you to keep your distance in public," she said. "I need you to stay careful. And I need you to promise me one thing." "What?" She held my gaze. "If he corners you again, don't be brave," she said. "Be alive." I nodded. And in that moment, without a single touch, I felt closer to her than I had to anyone in years. As I finally left the floor, my phone buzzed. A new message from an unknown number. One sentence. "Nice meeting you upstairs, Mark. Let's talk tomorrow." And I understood Daniel wasn't just watching. He was planning. The rumor reached me before my coffee cooled. A stranger in accounting leaned close and whispered, "You should be careful. People are saying you're her favorite." Then my inbox pinged with a meeting invite I'd never seen on my calendar. Daniel Reese. Private. 9 a.m. No agenda. That's when I knew he'd stopped watching and started hunting. I'm Mark, 48, divorced, and I didn't come to Greystone to play games. I came because my son needed help, my rent was late, and at my age a steady paycheck isn't a luxury. It's survival. So when Daniel called me in, I told myself I'd be polite, boring, invisible. The kind of man scandals slide past. His office felt colder than Claire's. No photos, No warmth. Just glass, steel, and a view that looked like a warning. Daniel didn't offer a seat. He didn't need to. "Mark," he said, smiling like we were friends. "I'm concerned about you." I forced a calm tone. "About my work? About your judgment?" He tapped a folder on his desk. My name was on the label. "You've been accessing executive approval routes. Because compliance asked me to. Because Claire asked you to," he corrected, soft as silk. "After hours. Alone. Upstairs." My stomach tightened. "That's not what happened." Daniel leaned forward. "Here's what will happen. The board is already asking why a new hire is looking at sensitive pathways. People are curious." He let the word hang. "Curious about you and Claire." I felt heat rise in my neck. "There's nothing to be curious about." "Then prove it," he said. "Distance yourself. Stop being available. And if she tries to pull you into her orbit, you decline." His smile sharpened. "Or you become the story." I wanted to shout. Instead, I heard Claire's voice from the night before. "Don't be brave. Be alive." So I swallowed my pride and asked the question that tasted like defeat. "What do you want from me?" Daniel's eyes didn't move. "I want stability. And I want Claire to remember who keeps this company standing." He slid the folder toward me. Inside were printed screenshots, my badge logs, late-night elevator times, harmless things arranged to look guilty. "Sign this," he said. "A statement that you accessed those systems without authorization. A simple admission. A clean explanation." My hands went cold. "That's a confession." "It's a shield," he replied. "For you. For her. For everyone." I stood there, breathing carefully, and realized his trap was perfect. Sign and I ruin myself. Refuse and he ruins us. I walked out without signing. But the damage didn't wait for my decision. By noon, Claire canceled our scheduled review. At 2 o'clock, she reassigned my audit. At 4:30, she passed me in the corridor and didn't meet my eyes. She was protecting the company. Or protecting herself. Either way, it felt like being erased. That evening, I found her in the empty conference room. Lights dim. City glowing behind the glass. "Claire," I said, keeping my voice low. "He's coming after me." Her shoulders stiffened. "I told you to keep distance." "I tried," I said. "He has screenshots. He's building a case." She turned, and her face was composed, but her eyes were exhausted. "Mark, you cannot be near me right now." The words hit harder than Daniel's threats. "So that's it?" I asked. "You bring me close just long enough to make me a target, and now you want me gone?" Her jaw tightened. "Don't make this personal." "It is personal," I snapped, "because I'm the one who loses everything. You'll still be CEO. You'll still have your life." The moment the sentence left my mouth, I saw it land like a slap. Claire went very still. "You think this is easy for me?" she said quietly. "You think I haven't paid for every mistake I ever made? I should have apologized. I should have stopped. But fear makes you cruel in ways you don't recognize until it's too late." "Maybe you're just scared," I said. "Maybe to you I'm not a man. I'm a risk you regret." Silence. Thick. Final. Claire's voice dropped. "Leave." I stood there, chest burning, and understood I'd done exactly what Daniel wanted. I'd broken the only alliance that mattered. That night, I typed my resignation with shaking hands. Not because I wanted to run, because I thought if I disappeared, Daniel would have no reason to destroy her. I hit send, stared at the screen, and felt 48 years old in a way I never had before. On my way out the next morning, my badge flashed red. Security stepped beside me. "Mr. Hale," the guard said, almost gentle. "There's been a directive. You're not cleared upstairs anymore." As I walked into the lobby, my phone buzzed. Outside, my son Ethan called. "Dad, are you okay?" he asked, hearing it in my voice. I stared at the doors and lied. "I'm fine." When the call ended, the truth hit. I wasn't scared of Daniel. I was scared Claire believed I was just trouble. And I proved it, too. Then one new message appeared from an unknown number. "Good choice. Now let's see what she does." When my badge went red, I thought the story was over. I was wrong. 2 days after I resigned, a black sedan stopped beside me outside my cheap apartment, and a woman's voice said my name like it still meant something. Mark Hale. I froze. Then I saw her. Claire, without the blazer, without the boardroom calm, standing on the sidewalk like she'd walked out of a storm and decided to stay. I'm Mark, 48, divorced, and I'm telling you this because second chances don't arrive with music. They arrive with consequences. I hadn't slept since leaving Greystone. My phone was a loop of missed calls, Ethan, my ex, numbers I didn't recognize. Daniel's last message, good choice. Now let's see what she does. Sat in my mind like poison. I kept replaying the moment I hurt Claire, the way my words made her eyes go flat. I told myself I'd done the noble thing by resigning, but in the quiet of my kitchen I had to admit the truth. I'd run. I'd run from Daniel, from the job, and from the only woman who'd made me feel human in years. Claire didn't waste time. Get in, she said. Not an order. Plea dressed as one. I should have refused. Instead I slid into the passenger seat, and the car smelled faintly of coffee and winter air. Her hands gripped the wheel. For a full block she didn't speak. Then she said, Daniel is gone. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. Fired. Worse, she replied. He resigned before the board could vote. He tried to take me down with him. She glanced at me, eyes steady. He used your name. My stomach tightened. What did he do? Claire's voice stayed controlled, but it shook at the edges. He claimed you accessed approvals without authorization. He said I pressured you. He packaged it as misconduct. The word landed heavy. A powerful woman, a vulnerable employee, a clean story. And they believed him? I asked. Some wanted to, she said. It's easy to believe the ugliest version of a situation when it protects everyone else. She swallowed. I didn't let them keep it easy. She pulled into a quiet lot behind a diner, the kind of place with warm lights and nothing fancy. Mark, she said. I'm sorry I pushed you away. I thought distance would protect you. It only made you easier to target. I stared at my hands. I said things I can't take back. I know, she answered softly. But I also know why you said them. She reached into her coat and set a thin folder on my lap. These are the logs you found. I presented them. I showed the routing, the duplicate payments, the altered dates. I told them you were doing your job. My throat burned. Why would you risk that? Claire looked out at the diner window, where an old couple sat close over coffee, shoulders touching like they'd earned the right to be gentle. Because I'm tired of surviving by cutting parts of myself off, she said. And because you weren't wrong about one thing, I was scared. I've lost people before. I didn't want to lose my company and lose you in the same week. She turned to me. But I realized something. If I choose safety over truth, I lose myself anyway. Outside, the wind rattled a sign. Inside the car, everything felt quiet and sharp. What happens now? I asked. Claire exhaled. The board issued a formal note clearing your actions. Daniel's exit is on record. It's not public, but it's real. She hesitated. And I offered you your job back. My first instinct was relief. My second was anger. Why now? I asked because pride doesn't die just because you're tired. Because you're not a symbol to me, she said. You're a man. And I don't want you to think you have to disappear to keep me standing. She paused, then added, but if you come back, it has to be clean. Boundaries, transparency, no late-night elevator rides, no secrets that can be weaponized. I nodded slowly. And us? The word felt dangerous, like stepping onto ice. Claire's eyes softened. Us doesn't have to be loud, she said. It just has to be honest. She lifted her hand, not touching me yet, waiting like she was asking permission to be human. I covered her fingers with mine, a simple, steady pressure, and for the first time in months my chest unclenched. I can do honest, I said. I can't do hiding. She gave a small, almost disbelieving smile. Neither can I. We sat there, hand over hand, while the diner lights flickered against the windshield. No promises of forever. No speeches. Just two grown people choosing to stop running. That night I called Ethan and told him the truth. I'd lost a job and found my spine. He was quiet, then said, "I'm proud of you, Dad." And I realized something I wish I'd learned earlier. Love at 48 isn't fireworks. It's courage. It's showing up when you're afraid, and staying when leaving would be easier. That's what Claire asked for without ever saying it. And that's what I finally gave. Monday morning I walked back into Greystone with a new badge and fear. People watched, but the whispers didn't bite the same. Claire passed me in the corridor like any CEO should. Just a brief nod. Professional. Yet when the elevator doors closed behind her, my phone lit up with one line from a blocked number. "This isn't finished." I deleted it. I didn't shake. I went to my desk and started the work,